The Tortured Poets Department by a living icon.
Taylor, we are ready for you to teach us.
Welcome back to my channel. My name is Hannah, and today I'm talking about Taylor Swift. So actually, I'm not a Swiftie. I'm not a fan of Taylor. I don't really know her music. Yet I still want to talk about her because part of me feels like I wish I was a fan of hers because I think she just does celebrity so well. And there are so many things about her music, but especially her interactions with her fans and the ways in which she lets her audience into her personal life, but in a very kind of curated way. I think it's really interesting, and it just reflects on so many contemporary dynamics that we have with like celebrity culture and social media and pop culture and the like. So since she dropped her new album, I thought it would be a perfect timing to talk about her. I recall that a few years ago I was on Reddit and I saw this post where someone was super excited because they found out that there is a PhD dissertation all about Taylor Swift. And I think around last year, there was also kind of a hype around a conference that was all about Taylor Swift. And a lot of the times when I teach about pop culture and social media. I teach about things that I talk about here on this channel. And my students tend to be a bit surprised about all the research that is out there about famous people. There's a ton of research about Taylor Swift. There's a lot of research about BTS. There are multiple people currently right now who are working on PhD dissertations about these celebrities. So obviously there's a lot to unpack and a lot to be said about Taylor Swift, but I wanted to focus on the ways she creates these nostalgic girlhood images. These ideas are not just mine. A lot of people worked about different analysis of Taylor's not only music but also like stardom to point to these directions, and I will use some of these sources to talk you through a few of the things that how we can kind of analyze or look at Taylor Swift and the way she interacts with her fans. So as I said in the beginning, I'm kind of sad that I'm not a Taylor Swift fan because I think she's very good at being a celebrity. I think the way how she kind of makes this work for her is like it should be studied, and it is studied. She started out as this girl next door, and she is still very much that girl next door, which makes her weirdly relatable, although she is a multi-millionaire, and she's definitely not relatable at all. But the way she writes about her life, the way she lets in her fans to her personal space is extremely well done. Margaret Rossman wrote this paper about this nostalgic girlhood that Taylor Swift uses to connect with her fans. She says that nostalgia is central to Taylor Swift's branding, but it's manifested in different ways, and the ways nostalgia is used is actually helping fans to connect with each other. In the marketing for her 2019 album Lover, she decided to have 4 different versions of the album, and each version came with a different kind of diary where she wrote about herself, and then they were empty pages for fans to then write with her or through her. And this is genius. Only this little kind of marketing trick builds so much into whatever Taylor Swift is representing. She uses this image of the teenage girl constantly throughout her music, even though she is herself in her 30s now. And of course, the generation that supports her feels like they grew up with her. She still always kind of goes back into this girlhood motive, writing a diary, creating scrapbooks, all the kind of photo cards and knickknacks that she releases with her albums is all genius, honestly, because as a fan, you want to get them. Also, merchandise is where artists make money. But for example, in the Lover era, you had to get 4 albums to get all 4 versions of the diary. And then people would also use these diary entries to then share it online and create this kind of communicative space to share and to relive this experience of being this girl that is Taylor but it's also you. Through releasing posters and different versions of the vinyls and whatnot, she releases a lot of collectibles that is central to fan identity. Owning these material goods make you belong to this community. And then also with each era, she has a different kind of aesthetic, but it all builds on each other. Like, these can interact, and not only they can interact in terms of the aesthetic, but one of the things that a Swiftie friend of mine told me that is very exciting about Taylor is the Easter eggs that she has, so that not only the worlds that she built aesthetically are kind of built onto each other and you grow up with her, but you still remember this like girlhood, and you can have this nostalgia for her teenage self and your teenage self as well. But she actually actively makes connections between these eras and both like foreshadows things, but also reference back to other things that she wrote previously. These are called intertextuality in media studies. That she uses this extremely well, that makes you, first of all, want to be part of the in crowd, this Swiftie, the strong fan base that understands these little intricate moments. It makes you feel like you're part of this world that she creates, but you're also in the forefront of it because you can see these connections that like regular people like myself would not be able to see. Taylor's audience is what we call the tween audience. So that's like this age of like teenagers and 20 somethings. And very importantly, a lot of the content that is made for teenagers are not consumed by teenagers, but actually an older generation. And I think a lot of millennial women and let's say like older Gen Zers really, really love Taylor because she emulates this teenage self that then grew up and can have like adult thoughts and adult things and have political opinion and be in love, not only naively, but also because she enjoys it or because it's pleasurable. But it always traces back to this girlhood. And the reason why I really emphasize this whole girlhood part is because I think that in many ways, teenage girls are the ones that are taken the least seriously in our society. They are ridiculed for being interested in the things that they are interested in. They are ridiculed for wanting to look a certain way, wanting to purchase certain things, being interested in pop culture in certain ways. But at the same time, we know that teenage girls rule the internet. Teenage girls are the ones that create a lot of the fan fiction, a lot of the fan art. They are the basis for a lot of the pop culture that we can live online. And a lot of the content that is made with a teenage girl in mind. But at the same time, we take them the least seriously. They have less purchasing power, but Taylor can actually tap into a very important market, the market of the millennial woman like myself that already has the money to then be nostalgic about that teenage self that was never taken seriously, that teenage self that had taste, that was interested in celebrity or pop culture but did not have the purchasing power to actually buy things or to go to concerts or whatnot. But now current fan base of Taylor can do it. That's why there is so much merch and different versions of the albums and vinyls and this and that, because there is actually a large market that can afford this now. And what I really find interesting about the whole girlhood aesthetic part is that of course it has this post-feminist or neoliberal feminist context to it. It's a very fluffy kind of feminism, a very fluffy kind of girl power narrative. But what's so cool about Taylor Swift and her fans is that they can be ridiculed. They can be ridiculed because she managed to capitalize on this too. And I don't mean capitalize necessarily only by financial means. That too, of course, it's her job. She makes money off of all of this, but also capitalize in terms of her fame and her fandom. In a way, I feel like the more Taylor is ridiculed and her fans are ridiculed, the stronger this fan base gets. Not all fandoms are made equal. There are definitely subcultures that are cooler to be part of, and being into pop music and this sort of average white girl is not very cool. It's not very edgy. But then somehow Swifties make it cool. They make it cool because they know, in kind of a subversive way, they know that it's not cool, but it's not about being cool. It's about connecting through the love of a celebrity. And that is what fan culture is. But just thinking that certain kinds of pop culture are more worthy of attention and money than others is already a bit outdated, in my opinion. Not only people are allowed to love what they love, actually being able to embrace your love for pop culture is a really liberating feeling. And Taylor can really benefit from this economy of intimacy that she builds. Marwick and Boyd wrote about like micro celebrity culture. They say micro celebrity can be understood as a mindset and a set of practices in which audience is viewed as a fan base. Popularity is maintained through ongoing fan management, and self-presentation is carefully constructed to be consumed by others. Regular celebrities also practice this micro-celebrity through social media. Micro-celebrity here meaning kind of influencers, like everyday people who build on so-called parasocial relationships to connect with their audiences or fan base. Like most pop stars do this, and they create these intimacies with fans, letting them into their worlds through their music or through different aesthetics that they offer. But Taylor Swift, in a way, goes a step further because she actually also just exists online, or at least gives the impression that she exists online and knows about what her fans are doing without interacting with people directly, kind of let them know that she knows what's going on. And a lot of the power that she gets is through her dedicated fandom. The reason why she could re-record all her songs is also because there's a fan base that will very strongly support her in doing so, and then actually make sure that people listen to her stuff on the records that Taylor want them to do so. She interacts with fans, but in really funny ways. When the album came out, I think the same day or the day before, that around the same time that I think Time magazine published a YouTube video with two content creators who are Swifties and who basically only do content about being Swifties. And it kind of frames them as like, oh my god, there are people whose life is to be a full-time fan. Well, of course. Like, whatever we consume can be your job. So obviously, big fans are very, very important nodes in the networks of fan cultures. These two girls are from Australia and they went to multiple nights of the Eras tour, and they filmed that all of a sudden they got a DM that they can attend one more show, and then they each received a letter from Taylor via her father, and Taylor's father told them that he always sends their videos to Taylor, and so she is very aware of them. But instead of directly interacting with them and, I don't know, maybe breaking somehow this celebrity, she chooses to directly interact, but then via an even more intimate means, I think, via her father, right? Like, that is somehow even more intimate than just meeting a celebrity. You're meeting their family, the average people around them that support them. So I think she is just so good at negotiating this. And I don't know how much is conscious. I don't know. I would like to assume that a lot of it is very conscious. And she has a great team and working with her on all of these things. In another very recent and interesting article, Amelia Morris talks about the digital bedroom culture that Taylor Swift creates. And I really, really like this metaphor. So bedroom culture refers to how teenage girls use their bedrooms as spaces for femininity and fandoms. It is a paper from 1975 by McRobbie and Garber. So already in the 70s, these authors observed and argued that the bedroom is that intimate space where culture is created and curated. This is where culture, in a sense, is produced. Now, of course, we may also recall how so many contemporary artists start out by just making music in their bedrooms and actually just getting some gear and starting to create stuff. Content creators just do the same. In 2009, in the beginning of Taylor's like big career, she also said that she wrote her songs on her bedroom floor. So clearly, this bedroom is a space for creation, but it's also a space for fan culture. Fan culture is not only about consuming a celebrity's work, it's also actually recreating and engaging actively with this celebrity's work. It's fan art, it's fan fiction, it's conversations about and around this star. In this article, the author also actually says that not only Taylor has been repeatedly referring to her songwriting as something happening in her bedroom, but actually in her songs, there's a lot of referencing to her physical space, to her room or her bedroom. A lot of Swiftie scholars have noted that this ideal bedroom is kind of a space of escapism in Taylor Swift's writing. And Taylor kind of recognizes that the bedroom is a central space for young girls' experiences and especially pop culture experiences. When we look at kind of digital femininities and social media, we don't only find that a lot of scholars argue that, as I said before, that the internet and social media and taste is kind of driven by young women. It is also actually how this bedroom, this physical space, is being shared through fan communities online, and how this physical space kind of then interacts with other physical spaces in a very intimate way, but still in someone's own environment. And I find this very, I don't know, I guess it's very sweet to kind of think about it. It reminds me of me being a teenager engaging in online forums about my favorite boy bands, and it reminds me of my current 32-year-old self engaging in online forums about boy bands. So young women in their bedrooms create and cultivate pop culture, but they also actually hang out with other, usually young women, through social media. So in a way, these bedrooms become spaces where someone can practice their own fan belonging by themselves, but then through social media, be connected to others who are doing the same. What Taylor does really well is kind of entering this space actively. She, or well, her marketing team under Taylor Nation, would host, for example, listening parties where fans can join on a stream and listen all together to songs for the first time. The teenage girl in the bedroom is not only the consumer, but also the creator of online culture. And Taylor Swift is fantastic in tapping into this reality and make you feel like she knows you, she understands you, and she does exactly the same as you because she writes her songs on her bedroom floor, and then she goes and lurks online and looks at the TikTok and previously more like Tumblr posts about herself and interacts with her fandom. But as women grow up, we have to grow out this personal space of the teenage bedroom. In a way, it literally means that a lot of us don't have our bedrooms anymore, but you have maybe a house or a home that you share with other people. It also means that putting up a poster of your favorite artist might not be the most like mature thing to do. So the physical space changes around you as you grow up. But what Amelia Morris argues is that Taylor Swift creates a digital world where people who outgrew their real life teenage bedrooms can have a digital online version of these bedrooms. Images of their favorite star, a community where they can connect with others, and just a space to love the celebrity. And of course, it's not that this is without any consequences. I am a big fan of being a fan, and I would love to encourage people to really let go of their prejudices and just go in and really enjoy the celebrities and the fan cultures they are part of, because there's no shame in it. But of course, there is a risk when this public image and private image really interacts this much and it creates these worlds. There's a very big like fan theory about Taylor Swift being gay. It's the gay lore theory, and it was not even like a mainstream theory among Swifties, but actually earlier this year there was a New York Times article about it. So like this not so mainstream kind of small fan theory grew and grew in the fandom and then entered the mainstream. And although Taylor herself and her team has consistently saying that she's heterosexual, the fan theory is persistent. What the author kind of asks us to think about, like, what does mainstreaming a theory like this that clearly makes Taylor Swift herself uncomfortable mean about what fans think that they know about the celebrity that they like, and how much it reflects the reality of what that celebrity lives. And there's so much still to uncover about Taylor Swift, how she uses her own life as inspiration to talk about different things with her audiences, but how she also creates these very captivating narratives of loveless marriages and love triangles and the like that feel so familiar to a lot of her fans. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. I hope it was interesting, that it made you think a bit about maybe the different kinds of celebrities that you like and why do you like them. Leave a comment and connect with me on Instagram and let me know what do you like or dislike about Taylor. And I see you in the next one.